Many pies and puds have become part of our regional heritage. My next recipe is a traditional Scottish dessert that is barely known outside Scotland, so I decided to investigate. Next, I'm crossing the border up north to track down a traditional Scottish dessert. And no, it's not a Dundee cake or a deep-fried Mars bar. You'd be forgiven for mistaking this mysterious mixture for an Eton mess or an everyday trifle. It's actually a regional speciality that the Scots have been knocking up for centuries. It's called Cranachan, and it's considered one of Scotland's best-kept secrets. So secret, in fact, when we spoke to the locals in Aberdeen, some of them had never heard of it.
Cranachan? Sorry, don't know.
Oh, I've made it many times.
Cranachan, it sounds like a place in Scotland.
No, never heard of it.
Yes, I like Cranachan.
It's a traditional Scottish dessert.
It's one thing knowing the name Cranachan, but what is it actually meant to look like? We asked those in the know to draw a picture of the dessert.
The oatmeal is here, and the sort of mousse in the bowl is this here.
There's some whipped cream, some soft fruit.
And we've got the shortbread on the side.
And some whiskey being drizzled over the top of it. That's a Cranachan.
I'm determined to crack the code of Cranachan and get to the bottom of this creamy Scottish conundrum. So I'm starting with one of the key ingredients, the oats. The Mitchell family have been making Scottish oatcakes since the 1920s. Now in its fourth generation, daughter Judy continues to run the business.
Here's a photograph of our shop and tea room and marketplace in Inverurie. This was taken before my great-grandparents bought the business in 1928. So the tea room side of the business was started by my great-grandmother. She opened her front room, this room here, as a tea room and baked scones, pancakes, oat cakes to old family recipes. And my great-grandfather and the sons delivered them on the horse and cart with the milk, as well as them being sold in the shop.
Oatmeal has been a staple grain of Scotland for centuries, since it's more suited to the Scottish climate than wheat. Judy's oatcakes are all baked here on site and are still made using her grandmother's original recipe.
Well, we start with oatmeal, which is locally grown, and then there's a small amount of bicarbonate of soda, just a pinch of bicarbonate of soda, a pinch of salt, and then there's a fat or an oil used to bind that together. And then we obviously put in a little drop of Mitchell's milk into that just to bind everything together. That all gets mixed up in a mixer. And then it gets hand-rolled, hand-cut oat cakes. The shapes are cut out and then they're put onto an open girdle. And that is just how my great-grandmother made them. It's exactly the same process.
Oatcakes are essential to lots of Judy's recipes, and her Cranachan is no exception.
My Cranachan is made with whipped cream, lightly whipped cream. And I'm going to fold in some crushed oat cakes, some raspberries and some local honey. This just sweetens everything up. It also helps the cream thicken. This is just a really straightforward Cranachan recipe, and it's great for us to be able to make something using a product that we make.
When Judy makes a dessert, she dispenses with the fancy layers and opts for a all-in-at-once approach.
I think adding our own oat cakes into the recipe gives it a special twist, makes it very unique.
Another name for Cranachan is Crowdie cream, which comes from a simple traditional cheese called Crowdie that for centuries was made in every farmhouse in the land. Crowdie is low in fat, mild and very soft, and features in many historical interpretations of Cranachan. Once common, it's now a rare find. Katie Rogers runs one of the few dairies left in the country still making Crowdie.
I think it's the flavour of the milk that adds to the flavour of the cheese, and the fact that it's a very gentle process. The milk's not getting homogenised. All of that adds to the flavour of the cheese that makes it more unique.
Twice a day the cows are milked, but how they churn that milk is the key to delicious creamy Crowdie.
It's a very, very simple process. I take the raw milk from my husband's dairy over to my own dairy, and it goes into a tank. We pasteurise it in the tank and add culture, and then we scald it. We then put it into the cheesecloths and let it drain overnight.
Once ripe, it's ready. And like most cheese, it can be enjoyed by itself and in lots of different savoury recipes. But for Katie, Crowdy is the star of the show when it comes to her take on Cranachan.
Cranachan is double cream or creme fraiche. We use creme fraiche, some Scottish raspberries, some toasted oatmeal, a little bit of whiskey, some honey to sweeten it. And what a lot of people don't know, and what was traditionally used in Cranachan, is Crowdy. And the Crowdy gives it that lovely extra texture. And there's also a little bit of salt in the Crowdy, which gives it that extra flavour as well.
So I've got my authentic Scottish oatcakes. I've got my Crowdy. Now it's my turn to give Cranachan the Hollywood treatment. Joining me in the kitchen is our Cranachan expert, Judy.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. Do you say Cranachan?
I say Cranachan.
Cranachan. Okay. I mean, what is it? What in your eyes is it traditional?
It's really just whipped cream with some raspberries, toasted oatmeal, and either some honey or whiskey or both to flavour it.
Now, that sounds like an eaten mess. Take the oats out, replace it with meringue. That's an eaten mess.
Yeah.
Have you ever used meringue in Cranachan?
Well, I have actually. I've made Cranachan and had some leftover, and I've made a meringue base and made a Cranachan pavlova, and it's really lovely.
Well, that'd be delicious.
Yeah.
And what I'm actually going to make is a Cranachan. Is that how you say it? Cranachan?
Cranachan.
Cranachan.
You need the Scottish. You need to be able to roll your R's.
Okay. Cranachan. Okay. Cheesecake.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to make a cheesecake using those base ingredients, but I'm also going to use the Crowdy. Now, this, for me, is akin to almost ricotta.
Yes,
it's ricotta-like. And it really does smooth out the cheesecake filling now. So I'm going to bake this one. And while I do it, you're going to make a Cranachan.
Yes.
OK?
Yep. So
you're going to make a traditional one. I'll try and crack on with this, and we'll see what happens at the end. Cranachan combines oats, creamy cheese, honey and raspberries. Today I'm using the same ingredients as Judy, but cranking it up a gear with my creamy Cranachan cheesecake. To start, crumble up Scottish oatcakes in a large bowl, which will go on to form the base. These are great. I mean, whenever I make cheesecake normally at home, I'll use all sorts of different bases. I'll use the sort of digestive biscuit, I'll use ginger, but this is going to be very special with the oats in it. This is a traditional family recipe,
So
then?
our oatcake, the oatcakes are a traditional family recipe, and they're still hand-baked in the traditional manner.
That with a bit of cheese, for me, is fantastic. It's one of the best oatcakes I've ever had.
Oh, thank you very much.
Next, pour some melted butter onto crumbled oatcakes and mix in with a spatula until the crumbs are fully coated. You've got a lot done already.
Yep.
What have you got in there?
I've just got some whipped cream, and I've folded in some raspberries and some toasted oatmeal, and I'm now just adding some honey.
Can I just... Is this Scottish honey?
Yes, it is. Like that?
Yeah. That's beautiful. That.
Lovely,
And
isn't it?
I love it. I love
Sweet as
Cranachan anyway because I love the oats in there. I think in many ways it's better than meringue.
Yeah.
In many ways. It's probably a little bit healthier for you.
Yeah, well, oats are very healthy.
If you took out the cream, that is.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
To finish the base, pour the oatcake mixture into a round tin and press down firmly into the bottom. Get your hands in there. My dad always said, son, you've got hands, use them. Crush these down. I think this will make a great base for a cheesecake, you know, because I think it's more akin to what a cheesecake base should be like.
Nice and crunchy with texture, yeah.
Gorgeous. There's our base. Oh, you see you've chosen a wine glass. Can I show you something?
Yep.
We went onto the streets to ask people, what's a Cranachan?
Cranachan.
First they said, what's that? They said, Cranachan. And they came up with things like this. We asked them to draw it, what they think it might be. That was actually a bird.
I bet that's shortbread.
It might be shortbread, actually.
Yes, yeah.
That one looks like porridge, and it's warm.
And it's warm, yeah, no.
Which
know
I
what that
don't
is.
understand.
I got confused with that.
This one looks like a crown. I don't even know what they are. Is that a fork? I guess it might be. This one says that's where Cranachan is. I think that's more
Doesn't even look
north
like
of Edinburgh, Dundee. And then we started getting onto things like this, which was,
That's a bit more like it.
you know, they were trying to put layers in and they were trying to explain what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen it served in layers, but I just find it easier to mix everything
I've
together.
I've seen layers sort of sweeping down. But that's quite definitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you stuck with the wine glass theme. Would you say that was a traditional way of serving a Cranachan?
I mean, you can serve it any way you like, but that's the way I would serve it.
With alcohol?
Yeah. You can either put the whiskey into it or you could serve the whiskey on the side. Traditionally, I think it's tradition to serve it with whiskey on the side and a piece of shortbread.
Now it's time for the main event. To make the filling for the cheesecake, break the crowdie up with the whisk and gradually add the cream cheese. Into this mixture, I'm going to add the sugar. Got some caster sugar going in. Mix that in. So I'm like a machine anyway, the speed I can go on this. Then when it's fully mixed, add the eggs one at a time and continue to beat. I mean, you could do this in a mixer if you like. I just like making work for myself. When everything is combined, pop in your toasted oatmeal and don't forget to keep quality testing your ingredients. These are great biscuits.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Now,
Crumbs.
the mixture is ready. You have your base. Now use your Scottish raspberries. If you can't get your Scottish ones, use some English ones, they're just as good. Pop them into the bottom of the cheesecake, spread them out all over the place. Finally, pour your cheesecake mixture over the fresh raspberries and give the tin a little shake to ensure it's evenly covered. What makes a Scottish raspberry the best?
The sunshine that we get in Scotland.
Listen, I've been up to Scotland on more than one occasion in the last couple of months. Do you know what? We had 30 degrees for 4 days.
Yeah, this year has been amazing.
I had no
and
idea how hot it was.
It's been an incredible season for the soft fruit growers this year.
I don't know what you're all whinging about all the rain, 'cause it just doesn't happen.
Scots, we never moan. Never whinge.
OK. I bake my Cranachan cheesecake at 180 degrees for about 40 minutes until the topping is set. Now here's one that's been baked and cooled. Now you can see here that the split, that is not a problem. So I'm going to release it from its mould. To finish the cheesecake, cover with a glossy layer of raspberry sauce and top with fresh raspberries. Delicious. Now that is a Cranachan.
Well done.
Cranachan?
Cranachan, you've got it.
It's a Cranachan cheesecake.